Have you ever thought of vulnerability as a strength and not a weakness? What about just vulnerability in general? How do you feel about it? And doing it on camera, I'm sure, is another feeling. My name is Rose, and I guess you can call me a storyteller. The reason why I say this is because as a voice talent, I read stories, and as a social media consultant, I help craft the stories. As a guide, I tell the stories, and as a live streaming coach, I basically am pulling out all of those elements so that you can tell your story in a way that is like this, being live. So today I am going to talk about vulnerability. Vulnerability. It's one of my favorites, in addition to, I'm sure it's one of yours. Not really, I understand that. I was listening to a Brene Brown. What was she doing? She was doing a TEDx talk, and she was talking about vulnerability, and she said to really be seen is to make a connection. And I thought that was really interesting because it's true. Why do we get so all stuck up in this vulnerability thing? And why do some of us try to stuff it down? So, in my own experience, I started live streaming because someone else believed in me. It wasn't me. I don't know if you remember that story, but I mentioned that I was doing radio. I had a syndicated radio show. A guy came and talked to me on the phone, said, I want to give you a live streaming show. And I told him, I'm sorry, but you have the wrong gal. I am in radio. And what happened there, we kind of made an agreement, and I had started to do it on my own, and I live streamed for the first time, and I'll never forget how I watched it back, and I literally was just completely disgusted with myself. I was picking apart my face. I was looking at every wrinkle. It's hard being older and being on camera. I do understand that. That's why I want to work women through these things, because sometimes some people feel like there is this place that you need to be, and if you're not there, then you shouldn't be on camera, which is absolutely not true. So basically my self-judgment was out of control. And when my boyfriend heard that I was talking to you about this today, he said, make sure you tell them that we are our own worst, basically critics, right? And it's true. We are our own worst critics. And I was criticizing myself, and I was just stuck in this loop of live streaming, watching, and then I would berate myself, and I would just keep doing it until I was having fun with it. And I wouldn't always look at the live streams that I did because I was just having fun. I live in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, and I like to go to different places. Right now I'm at Snow King Hotel, which I'm thankful that it's not super loud. It was just really sunny here, but now I guess it's not as bad, which is good. But the background isn't as lovely as I wanted it to be. I would have loved there to be a fire going in the fireplace, but there's not. So these are the things that you just can't control when you do a live. But anyway, back to the vulnerability part. It actually does make your content more relatable. And this is why I believe so much in live streaming itself, because in live streaming, you're going to make mistakes. And not just mistakes, but you're going to make these things happen with your face and the way you talk and all these different things that you're not going to like. And basically, I kept doing it around and around until I got over myself. Really, that's what I had to do. And so I just kept live streaming. And this is where I want to try to get women to get to that next level. So, talking about making mistakes, we're not perfect. This is why I want people to say F perfect. That would be lovely if you wrote it below, F perfect, because that means you were listening to what I was saying. But for example, when I shared about my father telling me when I was 20 years old that I would live out of a dumpster if I thought, thank you for that, if I thought I could make anything of myself on TV or radio, someone close to me came up to me and said, why would you say something like that? It makes you sound like you came from a bad family. And I thought, well, I said it because it's true, right? And if they only knew the half of my story. But what was interesting there is that what I had said made someone feel uncomfortable. And that was interesting because I'm here to create community. I want people to tell their stories. Maybe they have a story just like mine. I'm sure I'm not the only person in this world who their father didn't support in what they wanted their life's work to be. So I'm not afraid to say that my father was opposed. But in the sense of, I've already forgiven him for what he said so many years ago. It was more so me understanding that I needed to go through some type of life circle, and now I'm back where I thought I would be. So really, you can still be vulnerable and have personal boundaries. Let's not forget about that, because personal boundaries are very important. Now, I chose what I wanted to say because I wanted to say it, and it was about the dumpster story. And I wasn't afraid of that. And I basically thought, only I can decide what's right for me to say and what not to say. And you have to think about when you share on social media, whether you're writing it or you're putting it in video format or you're trying to do it in a live, that these are the things that you're okay saying. You can still keep that personal boundary. Like for me, I honestly wasn't sure if last week, when I talked about the last part of my origin story from 40 to 50, if I was going to, oh my gosh, there's an ermine outside. Oh my goodness, he's crawling around. He's so gorgeous. I can't flip the camera around yet, but if he runs back this way, I will, oh my gosh, he's climbing the wall. You were kidding me. He's gonna come here. Okay, you ready? I'm gonna switch the camera over here so you can see him. Oh my goodness. I hope you got to see him. Did you get to see him? Let me know if you saw him. He's so quick as a flash. The ermines right now are white, completely white, and in the summer they're brown. But anyway, I was talking about if I was going to cry last week or not, right? Because whenever I talk about my mother and her death, it's very upsetting to me. In private, I do cry most of the time when I think about how I lost her. But I think I had prepared for it mentally to basically talk about what I was going to say about my mother dying and being with her in her last moments, that I had basically told my story and didn't need to cry. So it's always hard for me to talk about her, and it's not like she died yesterday. It's been 6 years, and I'm sure there are people out there that also feel like they will cry because they've lost their mother or they've lost someone that's very close to them. So again, in that sense of me sharing that with you, I don't feel like that's oversharing, but it is a vulnerability that I have, right, as a person, because it was my mother. We used to travel together. She was my favorite travel buddy. She was my biggest fan, and I miss her. I miss her quite a bit. So also, emotional regulation can help you when you're on camera if you do start to tear up. And I'll do another live about that another day. So basically, in short, I wanted to make sure everyone knew that vulnerability is a strength and not a weakness. And of course, doing the call to action and making sure you know that I appreciate all the likes, all the comments, all the subscribing to my YouTube channel. It's absolutely wonderful to start this finally and do this and be on my journey for when live streaming comes to town for my clients. And remember, above all things, F perfect. Thanks for saying that below if you listen to this wonderful little ditty of a live stream. And it sounds like one of there's like a leadership thing going on upstairs. They just got out and they're going to make a ton of noise. So I'm going to wrap this up. So like I said, F perfect. keep it real, and stand out by live streaming. It's your authentic edge in the AI age.